quarterfinals of the Carling Knockout, which kick off this coming weekend. And the first fixture that we are previewing will be the first one of the weekend, Richards Bay FC taking on Cape Town City, who will be the visiting team. I'm joined here by Coach Eric Tinkler from Cape Town City, just to preview the fixture. Coach, maybe just some opening remarks, heading into this one. I know you came from, not a good result last night, but, it's a different ball game with the cup, an opportunity to progress to the semi-finals, but you play away this time around.
Yeah, exactly. Let's not think about the past. Let's look at the future. Move on from the Sundowns game. Obviously, the focus now turns to this game against Richards Bay. Our target and our objectives right at the beginning of the season was obviously in the league to again try and finish in the top four. We would love to try and bring a trophy back to Cape Town City. It's been quite a while now that we haven't held up a trophy. So that target was set right at the beginning of the season. So we find ourselves now in the quarterfinals, and this match is a very, very important match for us in order to achieve that objective. Richards Bay, going to be a difficult team. Trutter's a good coach. Makes it difficult when you play against them. Very aggressive team. A team that likes to play on the counter-attack, so we're going to have to be at our best. I made a lot of changes, obviously, in the game against Sundowns, just to show how serious we're taking this competition. So yeah, we've got to go out there with all guns blazing, and we need to try and redeem ourselves after the loss against Sundowns.
Thank you, Coach. Let's take questions from the floor. Just by a show of hands, I'll take the first one. Questions for Coach Tinkler.
Perfect, I can go.
One there. Let's go to Jabulo.
Jabulo from News 24. Coach, you were there when this club started with a bang in terms of the fanfare, winning over fans, and the football that they played. But it feels that the past two seasons has been a bit, don't want to use stagnant, but like on a somewhat steady pace, not necessarily returning where it was, but not also being there. How do you take this club back to where it was, and to a point where it was mentioned among the most exciting, also successful teams in the league?
Yeah, I think obviously that first season we finished third in the league, we won the Telkom. Since then, we lost in the MTN 8 final since I've been back, but we finished second, fourth and fifth. So in terms of the league, I think we performed quite well. Where we've let ourselves down has obviously been in the cup competitions. So it's about us looking to take those cup competitions a lot more serious. And that's been the target and the objective this season. Speaking with the players, giving them the right mindset to make them aware that, at Cape Town City, we want to achieve things, we want to win things. A lot of players have had possibilities to better their careers coming through Cape Town City, which has been good for the club and has obviously also been very, very good for the players, but we're more ambitious than that. It's not only about giving players opportunities, it's also about the club achieving success. So we've made the players aware of that situation, and hence the fact I've explained, the importance of us this season looking to try and lift the trophy. So the first objective is you have to try and get yourself into that final to give yourself a chance, and we gave ourselves a good chance by obviously beating Royal AM. And now we come up against Richards Bay, and we're going to have to do exactly the same to ensure that we get into the next round. So I wouldn't agree exactly that we are stagnant. I think we're a club that is progressive. We're a club that looks to give young players opportunity, and I think we've been pretty successful on that front. So I don't think we're a stagnant club.
All right, John Timak.
Citizen. Hi, Coach. You mentioned that you made changes for the Sundowns game. With this in mind, this cup game in mind, how do you balance the sort of situation where you lose a bit of momentum maybe by losing to Sundowns, I mean, maybe you would have lost anyway at Sundowns, but how do you balance like the possible loss of momentum with wanting to rest players and field your strongest possible team on Saturday?
Yeah, you got to understand that, you know, we plan ahead. And obviously, 3 days prior to the Sundowns game, we had the Magezi game. And for me, the Magezi game was the 3 points that we needed to collect. To be able to compete at the highest level, it's not about beating Sundowns. It's about beating the Magezis, the Royal Hams, the Richards Bay, etc., etc., you know. So my planning and everything that I do, I go according to that, you know. Now, just because of a result, why should it change my planning? So that's my logic. So I stick to my logic, I stick to my protocols, I believe in what I do, and I believe the squad that I put out last night would be able to compete. But on the night, we were beaten by a better team. It's as simple as that, you know. So, you know, we're not gonna dwell on that. We're gonna move on. But we know that we rested a number of players leading up to this game, so we'll go into that game with a lot of fresh legs and players obviously highly motivated to redeem themselves.
Thank you, Coach. Let's go. Are there any other hands in the bucket? Yeah, Mazola can go first, and then Lorenz will follow.
Coach, Mazola from SABC Sport. What sort of game do you expect against Richards Bay? I mean, they've not also been doing so well, but Brendan has also made it clear that they are targeting this trophy, so you can expect that they'll probably also have arguably their strongest side on the pitch.
No, exactly. I think obviously their striker is suspended, so that's the one thing we do know. But as I said before, Brendan is a coach that plays with a lot of intensity, a lot of aggression. So we've got to match them in terms of that. Having watching them of late, they're very much a counter-attacking team, pretty similar to Magezi. So we need to fix the issues that we had against Magezi to ensure we get a positive result against Richards Bay, you know. But I believe in the squad that we have. I believe the boys can go out there and put on a performance that can get us over the line.
Lorenz?
Coach, Eric Tinkler to Times. Just a player like Domingo that you brought into the club. I'm from Cape Town, so we know the history of where he's come from and how highly regarded he was as a teenager and stuff. He's forever been promising now. You know what I mean? How do you get the best out of him? Because we all know his talent. Like a player like him should be giving goals and assists double digits. How do you get the best out of him for City?
I think continue believing in him, you know. An example that I can give you is Mark van Heerden when I signed him. Mark van Heerden came in and I gave a lot of belief in him, and within the space of 2-3 months he came to me and he said to me, Coach, you've given me the love of football back. Maybe that's what he's lacking, is the love of football. You know, but I see improvements from Hashim down there. He knows where his weaknesses are. Like you said, he's finishing. I think that's one part of his game that he needs to improve on. We know what he's capable of in small spaces, tight spaces. We know that he can play that killer pass. But can he also score goals, you know? Any player that wants to make it at the highest level, especially when you're an offensive player, it's not only about assists, it's also about goals, you know, and that's one side of his game that is lacking. But I think he needs to love the game again, and I'm slowly starting to see that because he's getting a lot of support from me and obviously his teammates.
Okay, Coach, let's take maybe the last round of questions. I've noted Karabo, if you can get the mic to him. Karabo just here, first row.
Good afternoon, Coach. Coach, how frustrating is it, to want to win trophies, but season in, season out, quality players are being sold? Is that a conversation that you have with the chairman that, all right, I understand trying to keep the club afloat, but how frustrating is it that you have that conversation with him that maybe keep this one for the season and sell the next because I want to win something with the club?
And I think it's about keeping the club afloat. Like I said, we're a club that's very, very ambitious, but we're a club that also never stand in the way of someone wanting to better their future. And obviously, players that have moved on have gone on to better things, and obviously the club has profited from that. But that's a part of the club policy, and will always be that. I think that will never change, So the harsh reality for me as the coach, or whoever may come after me, I don't think that will change, So every season, if we're fortunate, as long as we're having good seasons and players are having good or putting on good performances, they're going to get opportunities to move on. Now it's about our scouting, replacing, and making sure that those players match the qualities of what you've just sold, and what you're bringing in fits the model that you play, And yeah, for me as a coach, sometimes it's a bit difficult because you need time, but in this sport, we know there's no time, So that's just the harsh reality. But I've grown to live with it and understand it, and I'm happy to see when players move on, because it means, I've helped them grow as a player and better their future. So, I don't think that should change.
Thank you, Coach. Are there any takers for the last two questions? Happy to close the session here. Going once, twice, gone. Thank you very much. Thank you, Coach. All the best.
Thank you.